Hello everyone, my name is Eric Taran Mullins, and I've spent the past 9 years writing, illustrating, self-publishing my own manga called Blithe. And I watch a ton of anime while doing it. I'll put my work progress on the side here. I watch mostly dubbed and sometimes subbed if ever I have that incredible moment, like free time. Such a rare and expensive commodity. Okay, let's talk Made in Abyss and where we are on the fence with this show. The deeper we go down this rabbit hole, the darker it gets. This show stretches for 2 seasons and 3 films. You can either start with season 1, then watch the 3rd film, or you can just watch the 2 movies instead of the 1st season. Before going over which one I personally think is best, I'd like to start off by talking a bit about this unique series. Cause when you know, you know. We may be on planet Earth in the future, or perhaps an alternate reality. Regardless, there is a giant hole, an abyss, if it were, that goes so far down, you'd think it hit the center of the planet. Starting from level 10 and going down, each section has its own specific access point, leading to the next level. There's treasure littered all over the place, ranging from unique looking tools, futuristic technologies, all the way to magical items that can grant wishes. The finest treasures being found, the deeper one dives into the abyss. And I say dives, but not literally, as it seems each level has its own completely unique ecosystem, with even lights resembling that of the sun. Those that climb down carry whistles around their necks, each colored one symbolizing their distinguished class that can help you or warn you to keep your distance. Sounds fun, huh? Bet you want in on this adventure action? Yeah, and whistles? Oh, sign you up right away. Well, most humans meet the abyss with this sort of excitement at first. I think now is the perfect time for a quick disclaimer. This show looks beautiful. With music to match, you get lulled into a false sense of child adventure. But it's so incredibly false. The second the characters start delving into the abyss, the show gets so realistic in its depiction of an adventure, it borders on pure horror. Imagine going hiking to a country you've never been to before and getting lost in the woods. Now imagine that country is full of creatures that want to eat you, where some can be as intelligent or even more so than yourself. Just the bacteria can eat you alive by drinking something or eating something you shouldn't have. To sum it all up, this is a survival horror adventure anime for the most part. I want to keep everything in this subjective review light, but this show is very dark. The Abyss is full of Lovecraftian styled creatures that you may find cool, or perhaps it will just creep you out. The interesting thing being that just because it looks messed up doesn't imply it's evil. It's just following its basic instincts to survive. And if you think it's just a cartoon and these monsters can't hurt me, I guarantee they can hurt most of you quite a bit. Monsters aside, one of the most intense threats of the whole series is the abyss itself. There's a thing called the curse. As you descend into the pit, it becomes deadly to climb out of it. To the point that if you go down to a certain level, you will die or lose all humanity crossing back up. And this doesn't mean going from level 8 back up to level 9. Once you go down a few meters, just climbing up to those same meters can cause you to bleed from all your orifices. You will have diarrhea, loss of consciousness, be throwing up like you can't believe. One of the characters from the series drew a lovely illustration that sums up what I'm talking about pretty well. The messed up Cthulhu-styled creatures seem to have the ability to avoid the curse, where some just straight up have immunity to it, at least it seems. There are also a bunch of human skeletons all over the place, posed in a prayer-like stance. Can't help but wonder how this place came to be. So much intrigue wrapped in all its horrors. The show also has quite a few explicit moments that will make you uncomfortable due to the young age of the characters, but more on this later. Viewing order. The first two movies add in a couple of scenes here or there that lead to the third film better. However, the first season has better character development, which makes sense when calculating that the series is roughly 260 minutes versus the replacement films that are 227 minutes, so that's about 30 extra minutes of abyss adventuring. I'm so sorry. This isn't about math, this is about adventuring. Which should you watch? Well, I've seen both, and let me tell you, I actually love character development, and I really enjoy the adventuring aspect of the series. Because of this, I personally prefer the first season over the two films, but the movies do set up the third film a little better. Mostly by introducing a new character that they kind of show in like the last 2 minutes, I'd say. But the best trick, honestly, would be to watch the series for yourself. Then, if you really enjoy it, watch the movies with a friend or a loved one. Because some people just like to watch others cry. The first part is all about adventure and discovery. Like the characters going down into the abyss, you yourself are living through the experiences with them. You'll laugh. You'll jump scare once or twice. A lot of you will weep and cry and want to watch anything else. And you'll never want to watch anything related to this series again. But you will. Because it's so intriguing.
They have such sights to show you.
Once you've finished this first part of the series, you should then check out a bunch of shorts. These create backstories and develop characters a little bit, allowing you to have more feelings towards the adventures of the abyss. First one I suggest watching is Marulk's Daily Life. There are 4 of them, ranging at about 3 to 4 minutes, roughly. They are supposed to be funny. Then we have Made in Abyss together with Papa. The whole third film weighs heavily on this Papa, so be sure to watch this before going into it. Only available in subtitles, it's still pretty easy to get through, it's very short, and it really has this aesthetic that makes it look like a child's film. Just keep in mind that this is really not for children. Now we get into the third film. It almost feels like this could have been a season. I'm gonna call it season 1.5 just for fun, because it leads into the following season. Despite the show being absolutely incredible in its visuals and music, the movie does not skip a beat, and it's basically like just a little more in everything. It's incredibly impressive, but you know, they've got that movie magic. We get to see a level of animation quality that's through the roof. Though the storytelling follows a very simplistic structure with an obvious plot, you get some adventuring for the first 10 minutes, then the rest of the film has got you stuck in one place until the end, feeling an awful lot like the writing-styled theme called a bottle episode. Remember how I mentioned weeping and crying with the first season? Well, this film attempts to dredge up the same emotions, done in a similar fashion. You'll see it coming as it's not particularly clever, and when it does happen, it still hits like a ton of bricks. Character development, people. It works. Lastly, we have the second season. This time around, we get to see 2 stories intertwined with one another. One story from a far past about a group of settlers discovering the abyss, and then back to our Riko's Roughnecks. We get about 2 episodes of actual adventuring. This includes the side story. The rest of the series takes place on a single level, and there is little to no fun exploration. It focuses instead on a village of monster people living with one another and how their community works, while an outsider wants to destroy everything they have. But this outsider isn't a villain by any means, and neither are the people of the village. The show does a great job, once again, with its character development. But, like the third film, it kind of falls short on its storytelling and themes. They create so much mystery that gets left unresolved. The whole season feels as though it was designed to introduce a single character to us, as by the end you're left thinking, what the hell is this? If they just spoke to each other properly, then it could have easily been resolved. But the loss of communication is what drives the whole story. For real? The ending of this season puts them in the same spot as the beginning, and most of the series leaves us stuck in one single location. While the concept of exploration could be learning about new cultures, it's not really focused on that past an episode or so, and after following the third film, it just feels like a lot of time has gone by since we got to see the adventure aspect of the series they themselves go on and on about. That aside, the level of intrigue is still very high, and nothing ever feels like it drags on, except for the last 2 episodes where combat becomes the main priority, like the 3rd movie's climax. And it didn't help that the 2nd season had a big old Deus Ex Machina steamroll its way into the plot in order to keep its theme grim dark. Hey, this happened because our ending needs to look something like this, and it's hardcore. Who cares about it making any real sense? And after all that character development. And then there are the emotions. Again, they try to hit us with the same emotional tone and theme as the 1st season and what they did in the 3rd film. Make me cry, shame on you. Make me cry again, shame on me. Make me cry 3 times? Find a new trick, please. I'm just starting to get angry. To sum it up, Season 1 left me depressed but loving the adventure. Movie 3 kept my attention the whole way through, but I was missing the adventure. And Season 2 almost feels like it could have never happened, and in 2 episodes, we could have had introduced our new character and major longings for adventure at this point. Okay, let's talk about some of the main protagonists. In the beginning, you're introduced to Riko. This blonde, pigtailed orphan adventurer has big dreams of descending into the abyss in search of her heroic adventuring, did I mention hero, mother, Liza. She's got a smart head on her shoulders and has studied the abyss to great lengths, always pushing to learn as much as possible in order to help facilitate their descent into the abyss. There, let's talk about the second main protagonist, Reg, a super fighting robot, Reg-a man. Only his human-looking parts function like a human, despite being more solid. He lost all his memories and is joining Riko on the descent in hopes of finding them once again. This is Nanachi. She is way too fluffy for words, apparently smells super nice too. You'll have to watch the series to get her backstory. I ain't ruining nothing for you today, but I'll leave you with this fun tidbit of information. She's dubbed by the incredible Brittany Karbowski, to whom I tend to always love hearing in anime shows, as she's excellent at conveying emotions and expressions. Then we have Melnia, a cute little animal friend. I'm not going to talk about any of the other characters in this show, as just mentioning them and putting them on this list, it might actually spoil some of the series for you. Alright, so let's break this show down a bit. The art style is very detailed. It comes off looking like a Ghibli film for its backgrounds and creatures. Off the top of my head, I would say Castle in the Sky, mixed with a bit of Nausicaa, Valley of the Wind, a little bit of Spirited Away, a little bit of Princess Mononoke. Around that. If I'm thinking of a more modern anime, Ranking of Kings tends to come to mind with its art style and fluidity. However, the show is significantly darker in tone. But the art style is still drawn to look very cute, round, and innocent, and soft, and so fragile. The animation quality is incredibly fluid, very smooth, and you'd think you were watching a Ghibli film. That is, until the screaming starts. And the music in this show, I don't know where to begin. The soundtrack seems to wisp you away, where you get so drawn into the fun adventure, wild, stressful survival action, and so much heartache. The dubbing is on par with any other top-shelf anime. It is really above and beyond fantastic. The show has so many things I really love about it. But there are moments where it definitely crosses the line. And it's a bad line. Not many people seem to be talking about it or mentioning it, so I'm going to talk about it today. Allow me to walk you through it, step by step, until it's crossed that line. Step 1. The roughly 12-year-old characters look cute and round, but they go through survival horror situations that would mentally tear apart even the most seasoned of war veterans. And I'm saying this in a realistic sense. So if a character gets knocked into a tree by some beast or creature, odds are they're going to have broken bones. Unless they're really lucky, where at that point they'll actually mention it, because it's so rare to be unscathed after having that kind of damage inflicted upon your body. Most of the time, the answer to a challenging event is death. And I would argue worse, mutilation. If you're not okay seeing children go through this, you shouldn't be watching Made in Abyss. Step 2. Now we're on the line. These events also leave characters with mild PTSD throughout the series. But the fact that they are trying to survive doesn't give them enough time to dwell on it. If someone is so terrified or receives a debilitating graphic injury, it's natural for some humans to soil themselves or just pass out from the pain. You're going to see this quite often in this series. And to children that are 12 years of age or resemble 12 years of age, it's still something that will make a lot of people uncomfortable. They actually talk about sexual things often in the series. They're kids, they're hitting that age. And it's completely natural. But like, it's still 12-year-old kids here. It's incredibly awkward and misplaced in a lot of situations. Most often than not, used for humor. That makes you just feel uncomfortable rather than hitting the mark they were hoping for. I don't know, but this is something that could turn you away from the series. Step 3. So now let's cross that line completely with the punishment made by the human society living around the abyss. I actually didn't believe it at first. And when they made the replacement movies 1 and 2, I thought they would have removed it. But no! It's part of their culture, and that makes it okay, right? Essentially, if you do something wrong and get in trouble, you get strung up. No timeout chair for you. It's just full inappropriate rope tying. These children are in a disturbing position that will leave you uncomfortable as the viewer. Like, why? At no point in the story does it turn out that experiencing this kind of thing has any benefits for their delving into the abyss. You know what kids usually hate? Chores. Get them to clean the bathroom or make everybody in the orphanage's bed for like a month. Like something like that. That usually builds strong character. But having people of this age being terrified of going through something like this is not going to create the same type of mental fortitude. This whole thing is a small detail that lasts less than a single minute throughout the whole series. But it's still there, and it's incredibly off-putting, so I could understand why you wouldn't want to watch this show just because of that. However, if you're able to steer clear past these 3 things, I think you could find a lot of enjoyment from Made in Abyss. It's absolutely a masterpiece outside of that. And my being a huge fan of H.P. Lovecraft and the eldritch horrors that he created, this show really is right down my alley. And perhaps it is for you too. Maybe now you kind of have a better idea of what side of the fence you're on with Made in Abyss. And if not for you, then perhaps a friend or a loved one, if you don't want to see them crying. The past couple of episodes, I would take comments and I would read them out and I would post them on my newer episodes. However, because I'm kind of new to making these videos, some of you are shy and I'm not getting a lot of comments. I'm sure it's going to come down the line, so this is something I'm going to drop for the moment. However, if down the line I start seeing people making more comments and they want me to bring it back, well, try it again. And that's pretty much it for Made in Abyss. It's a dark and sinister series wrapped up in a cute and lovely adorable package with an OST that beckons you on. Enjoy! If you like my video just a little, why not hit that subscribe button and that like button, and be sure to hit that notification bell so that you get notifications to let you know when I come out with my next one. I try to add as much comedy in these videos as possible because some shows really need it.